All right, so we've got the Critics' Choice winners, the Golden Globe nominees, the Writers Guild nominees. This morning we had the SAG nominees, and now we've got a couple weeks until we get to the remaining 12 industry guilds that award television. But one thing that we've seen across all the awards and nominations so far is that there's been a very strong embrace of four new dramas. We've got The Crown, Westworld, Stranger Things, and This Is Us. And Amanda, how are you feeling about that?
Well, I feel pretty good about it. It's nice to see new blood in these categories instead of the same old. Most of us do really well predicting the SAG Awards usually because we just pick the same people every year. I remember last year going, okay, I'm just going to put Rami Malek in fifth and hope for the best. Like that was a big deal to move somebody out and put Rami Malek in. And now we have just a complete almost reset of these categories. So it's going to be interesting. I think The Crown has just replaced House of Cards as Netflix's premiere show because it came out really, really strong. And I think we're going to see John Lithgow have a pretty nice award season. I think he's probably got supporting actor locked up. And he seems the type that can come into the Screen Actors Guild and just win his first time. He has enough industry clout, and he'll be the first person to win on the TV, on comedy and drama side.
Yeah, it's surprising at SAG. I mean, it's hard enough for new shows to get nominated, but this year we also saw a lot of these new dramas get supporting performances in too, which suggests that like they're really watching and paying attention to these ones. So we have over half of the nominees across all the drama categories are from new shows, and on the comedy side, things are not as encouraging. For those ones, we kind of have to look to the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice, as you'd expect, to find the new blood. And I found in the comedy categories at SAG, they even backtracked a bit and maybe didn't even find Silicon Valley still, which is in its third season, gets nominated at the Emmys in every category. But SAG just keeps nominating, the likes of Uzo Aduba and finding more actresses from Grace and Frankie.
I
Yeah,
was
that's one of the interesting things I think is that when you look at just the domination of Netflix shows in both comedy and drama. I mean, you have The Crown, Stranger Things, which also got 3 nominations, including 2 lead actress nominations. And then you have Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt getting both actor for Titus Burgess and Ellie Kemper in actress. And then you have both Grace and Frankie and Uzo. It seems like Netflix is kind of the dominant force in a lot of these categories.
I'm surprised that Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt cannot get an ensemble nomination, and then we have The Big Bang Theory still holding on there, but they can't even get Jim Parsons in it anymore at SAG. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt has, I don't know, it's kind of connected with the industry, but it also can't seem to win any Emmys, and they couldn't get Tina Fey nominated again. It's this weird disconnect. The same with Better Call Saul. I can't tell, does the industry like the show, or do they not really care for it?
We just seem indifferent. Like they're willing to nominate it here and there, but if something else better came along, they might bump it.
And then it also gets it gets actually 3 nominations from the Writers Guild, 1 for comedy series, and then 2 individual episode nominations. So it's almost kind of like a bipolar sort of reaction that they have to this show. It's like we love it enough to nominate it in certain places for certain things, and you have Jane Krakowski winning at Critics' Choice, which in a lot of ways was, I think, its first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was like its first, kind of major victory.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I do. I was shocked with those Grace and Frankie nods. I mean, I could see. I think I had Lily Tomlin in there. But I didn't see them taking up 2 spots. That just really doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I didn't predict her, but I could have seen Sarah Jessica Parker coming back. She's won a couple. It's weird.
Do you think that Jane Fonda will get in at the Emmys now, or is this just kind of a weird SAG thing where they like their veteran actresses?
I think it might be a SAG thing.
It might be a SAG thing. I mean, as somebody who loves Grace and Frankie, and I do unabashedly, she really was the stronger. Lily Tomlin was certainly the stronger force in season 1, but Jane Fonda had some really, really great standout moments in season 2. She was in many ways far more lead, and Tomlin was actually more supporting in season 2. But I think it depends on what happens with season 3. But as of right now, they've really only, most, particularly the Emmys, have only seen it fit to nominate Tomlin.
Yeah, especially when they had 3 open slots last year. If they were going to do it, I think they would have done it by now.
Right.
Personally, I'm more concerned that they're going to. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm personally more concerned that they're going to try and pull a Tina and Amy and get themselves submitted together.
I actually saw at the European Film Awards, the 2 lead actresses for Julieta were nominated in a single slot. I wasn't sure if they were nominated separately and they just decided to list them like together, but I saw that like in the nominations tally, they were just counted as one. I wonder, is this going to bleed more across various awards now?
Yeah, that's my fear, is that that now that there's a precedence for it, it's going to be something that they're going to have to. I mean, I can't imagine them wanting to hurt 2 people's feeling, 2 actresses of their esteem, and tell them no. They don't usually say no. They usually let people do what they want to do. But I don't know going forward. It makes me nervous not to predict Orange is the New Black. But only Downton Abbey has won as 3 SAG awards for ensemble and not won an Emmy for drama series. And now we're kind of in a similar situation where, some shows have won 2 and not one ensemble, not won an Emmy for series. Desperate Housewives won 2 ensembles for comedy. But I don't know if Orange is the New Black can pull off a 3rd. But I don't feel comfortable really picking any of the other ones. But I'm kind of thinking it might be Veep.
I feel like Veep is almost lucky to be nominated because like The Big Bang Theory, Modern Family, Orange is the New Black, even Blackish to some extent, these are all like heavily watched shows that kind of appeal to the masses that I would think would do better when you have all 160,000 SAG-AFTRA members voting on the winners. I thought, like, if anything is going to stop Orange is the New Black, it's going to need to be the nominating committee, because that's only 2,500 people. Maybe they're putting more into, what they're actually choosing to nominate. Whereas once you get to the winners, there's no onus on really any of them to vote fairly.
And I think when you look at something like comedy actor and comedy actress, they're not afraid to nominate supporting players, obviously, because we have Titus Burgess and we have Ty Burrell. So why can't Tony Hale get in? If they like the show, think about it. Why can't they get Tony Hale in, or Matt Walsh, or Hugh Laurie in the comedy actor? So maybe I don't know. I just have a feeling it's not Black. I don't know. With no series win, no series nomination, I don't know if Uzo Aduba and Orange is the New Black can keep this sweep up.
I would never hesitate to say the SAGs love, especially on the TV side, they love repeating themselves. Oh. I mean, so Orange is the New Black has a couple things going for it. The fact that it is, Netflix has this prominence, so clearly Netflix is popular across the board. It has the largest cast. And Orange is the New Black is one of those shows that has just an absolutely really big, huge fan base. They're very passionate about the show. And so until I see I think it's either going to be Orange is the New Black or Veep, but I'm leaning towards Orange is the New Black because it ain't broke. So why? What is their impetus to change now?
Well, I think when you look at a cast like Blackish, it's a large ensemble. It has children involved. It has a diverse cast, and then it has Lawrence Fishburne. Maybe he could help. Maybe there's enough respect there.
Is he the trump card? I wasn't aware of this.
I don't know. I'm just looking at them and thinking what's different about them compared to the others. I mean, I don't think they're going to go back to Modern Family, not until maybe its final season.
Do you think Modern Family is still getting in at the Emmys? Because at this point, I would say that we actually do have enough contenders that it could be bumped out. Because we've got all those shows returning from last year, and we also have Atlanta coming in now.
I think in a consensus field, yes. I think Modern Family probably still is going to hang in there when you get down to 7 spots. When you're taking off 10, right? Is that how?
You can tick up to 10, yeah.
Yeah, if you're taking off up to 10, I think even in my top 10, I might still pick Modern Family. Depending on, like, if I just saw a really good episode, I still might pick Modern Family. I think that's how Ty Burrell keeps getting in, is he's still really good on the show.
So in comedy actor, who are we leaning towards?
I'm going to go with Tambor. They love to repeat themselves. I don't think he's any less popular than he was a year ago. I think Transparent being so dramatic probably just hurt it a little bit.
I think Transparent is falling, because it's so dramatic. We see dramedies at the Emmys and all these award shows fall pretty fast, actually. But I think Tambor himself is strong enough that he can hold on for a little bit longer, at least.
I don't think someone's come along yet, and I don't mean this as any disrespect towards Anthony Anderson or Donald Glover and the Globes, who has the momentum to bump him, who has the passion vote to get rid of him. So I think Tambor's going to hold on, at least at the SAGs. Something might come along in the fall. It's come along in the spring that we don't know about, but right now it looks good for him.
Yeah, I think Glover could win at Golden Globes, but I agree here. Tambor is probably the safe bet.
I find it interesting at the Globes. We've got these big contenders in The Crown and Stranger Things from Netflix. We have American Crime Story and Atlanta from FX. We have Westworld, The Night Of, Insecure, all these ones from HBO. And it's very easy to picture a scenario in which each of those shows picks up a couple wins, maybe for series and an actor or some kind of combination like that. But what the Globes always do is they love to spread the wealth. They want to make everybody happy. I mean, last year they awarded 9 different networks, and they only have 11 TV categories. The year before, they awarded 8. The year before that, they awarded 8. And right now, they have more networks than ever that they want to keep happy with the arrival of Stars and Amazon and all these other ones.
Well, we thought the same thing about the Critics' Choice, that maybe they might spread it a little bit because of FX, and especially FX. And I don't know if they're seeing it that way, because I don't think that Courtney B. Vance is 100% locked in for actor. I don't have Sterling K. Brown winning the catch-all supporting race. So I think we could still see FX win like 4. It could win series for OJ. Sarah Paulson is she's on the sweep. And then see like Atlanta and Donald Glover win. And then maybe we see, Courtney B. Vance get upset by Riz Ahmed or John Turturro or Tom Hiddleston. Which, by the way, I loved watching Chris talk about Taylor Swift if you haven't seen their video.
Oh, bless his heart.
That was so great. I can't wait to hear the breakup song too. I'm ready for that also. But yeah, I don't.
One thing about the Globes though is that the Globes are not afraid to, we like to think of the Globes as not as spreading the wealth. But I went back and I looked over the last, say 15 years. There's been multiple like not just a few outliers, but many, many times where a show has won, where a single program has won 3 or more categories.
Glee did it. Homeland's done it.
The Sopranos, Seinfeld, Rasputin, and it happens on both sides. The Burning Season, it's happened quite a bit. So maybe, recently they've been more spreading the wealth, but maybe this is going to be one of those, sweep years.
I would think so, but I also wonder if, Liev Schreiber, he is now the only nominee for Showtime this year, and Showtime has not gone home empty-handed in 8 years. Even last year when they only had, 3 nominees, they still managed to pull out a win. So maybe we're underestimating someone like him, and we might see those kinds of upsets if they've decided that they're no longer going to, entertain sweeps.
I think that as far as the one you're talking about with drama actor, I like Liev Schreiber on the show. I said I think on Emmy tapes he would have won. But I think at the Globes, they're probably, when they don't have Anthony Hopkins in there, so they're not going to feel like they're, there's no real competition for Rami Malek, in my opinion. It's more like, okay, we wanted to give John Hamm an acceptance speech last year. Otherwise, we would have given it to you. Now they've pretty much laid this up where just don't see how he loses that. Maybe it's Billy Bob Thornton by default. And if Goliath had gotten a serious nod, I would predict it. But I'm just going to go with Rami Malek. I'm not going to overthink that one. I think that one's pretty. He's the kind of person they would want to win. He's the kind of person I think they would want to be the first to award. And they missed their opportunity. So now they're just going to make up for it. They did the same thing with Damian Lewis. He didn't win. He came back the second year and he won. Granted, the show and Claire Danes won, and that's not going to happen. But they still like the performers.
Yeah, we've seen that kind of thing, like with Kevin Spacey, too, where they needed to award the final season of Breaking Bad. And then once they got that out of the way, then they said, Kevin Spacey, we meant to award you last year. I wonder if Mr. Robot will be reduced at the Emmys this year to a single nomination for Rami Malek, because it wasn't that deep last year. It didn't do that well in the creative arts. I don't think it's coming back to writing. I don't see how it comes back to series at this point. I mean, there's not many places for it to get nominated outside of score, I would say, but they love to award you in that category and then snub you the next.
I think it depends on what else falls out. Maybe Better Call Saul falls out. Maybe something else that's just been hanging around. Maybe Homeland falls out again. We don't know yet how much they really like the show. And I think airing during judging voting kind of helps Mr. Robot stay top of mind. They're like, oh, I just watched it. I'm just going to check it off. I think they're always going to be helped by that. Whereas something like The Night Of is at a very, very big disadvantage going into the Emmys because it aired right after the eligibility period ended. So this is their award season. This might be it. The Globes, the critics, the SAG Awards.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think with Mr. Robot, I think it depends a lot on when season 3 airs. The creator, Sam Esmail, has said that he wanted actually more time before season 3 airs. Season 2 aired right smack dab in the middle of Emmy voting. So I think a lot of it depends on when this third season, I don't think it's been announced when it's going to air. So I think that will certainly impact it. I think its best chances are things like directing. If it can get a directing nod, I'm not sure writing is as strong. Malik will most likely be back, and then if some of the supporting cast, people like Michael Christopher, or B.D. Wong, or Carly Chaikin are able to get in.
Carly Chaikin. I think even if they're not really big, huge fans, there's 4 open slots. I wouldn't say Constance Zimmer and Maura Tierney are 100% safe in this case. That they might just overhaul that whole category. So in that instance, we could see Carly Chaikin, we could see Thandie Newton, we could see Vanessa Kirby get in for The Crown. She would be amazing. She might actually give Thandie Newton a run for her money. That would be, my gosh, she's amazing. If you haven't seen The Crown, I love that show. It's my favorite show of the year.
I think I don't know about what you guys are saying about Mr. Robot. I mean, Orange is the New Black airs during Emmy voting every year, and that hasn't helped it the last couple times. I mean, Mr. Robot is falling out with the people who liked it last year more than maybe they should have. I mean, you talked about maybe the show can get a directing nod, but it hasn't been nominated at the Directors Guild, at the Emmys, even though it had a pilot in contention. And at the Writers Guild, they awarded it Best New Series last year. This year has no nominations. The Golden Globes, they awarded it Best Drama Series last year. This year it's gone. That show is done.
I don't know. I think the difference between Mr. Robot and Orange is the New Black is category placement, where Orange is the New Black is this dramedy where it never really kind of fits in either 100%. There's no questioning that Mr. Robot is a drama. I think that helps it, and it helps it. No one's thinking, oh, maybe they should enter this as a comedy series. No one who's sober is thinking that we should enter Mr. Robot as a comedy series.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm saying it might not be done is because we need to see what the cumulative effect of the lack of Game of Thrones at the Emmys is going to do. Because now there's going to be, extra directing slots. Is Westworld going to fit in those? I mean, it probably will for at least the pilot. But Westworld was a divisive show. There are people who loved it, and then there's people who thought it was pretentious and a little full of itself. Me. So I think there's still a chance. I agree that its lack of presence at particularly Critics' Choice and the Globes does hurt it. But I'm not willing to write it off until we get through this cycle.
And there's still probably new shows coming on. We haven't seen everything yet. I think Westworld needs to decide whether or not they're going to enter Anthony Hopkins in the lead category, because I thought on name he would get into at least one of these. He's never won a competitive Globe. He's never won a competitive SAG award. Maybe he needs to enter the supporting race.
Yeah, he's been bringing down all my scores. I thought he'd get it at SAG, at Critics' Choice, at Golden Globes. He just can't get anything.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought at least he would get nominated, and maybe he needs to be in supporting, and maybe they need to move John Lithgow to lead since he's doing so well. I think he could win Best Actor. I mean, he plays Winston Churchill. Yes, he's not in one of the episodes, but I think you could argue he's the lead. They could probably get somebody like Matt Smith, who I know they put in the lead for the Globes at least, who plays Prince Philip, to supporting. It seems fitting. That's the husband of the Queen.
I like how The Crown is all set up to kind of dominate the Emmys in each category, where they've got Claire Foy in lead, Matt Smith over in lead on the other side. They have John Lithgow, and then Vanessa Kirby is kind of the obvious supporting actress choice. So I think that they'd be just fine doing that, but we'll see. John Lithgow has proved to be very strong so far.
Well, and if they really do love it, they do have two actors, and I don't have their names on me at this moment, who play the king, who Edward, who basically. Oh, so he plays. Yeah, we lost Riley. He'll be back in a second, but he plays Edward, the king who abdicated for the woman he loved. And then we have King George. So they might have more than one supporting actor. If they were smart, they would only submit one, because we saw a lot of categories where you had competition amongst co-stars not work out. But They really love the show, but I think we're going to see a lot of technical nominations. It's probably going to take Downton Abbey's place in production design and costumes and hair, and it's going to rack up a good total at the Emmys.
Yes, I completely agree. It's the kind of show that seems to. I think it'll be a good substitute. It'll fit into the Downton Abbey, because it's got this really kind of weird cross between Downton Abbey and House of Cards.
It's like Downton Abbey's with claws. Like, these people are like, they have actual power that they're dealing with, and it was incredible. But I think someone like Tandy Newton, she's looking better and better. I thought she was going lead at the Globe, so I didn't have her in supporting. Otherwise, I would have got that one right. But when I saw her in supporting, I'm like, there's your winner. I don't have to worry about the supporting races this year.
At the Globes?
I'm not changing. I'm a little worried about her, but for the most part, I'm going John Lithgow and Tandy Newton.
I think Tandy Newton has reached undeniable status at the Emmys. At the Globes, so I think that they're going to go for Chrissy Metz from This Is Us. I think that she's got the sympathy angle with not only the weight, but also how she worked in the industry for 10 years, racked up a mere 7 credits, primarily in kind of walk-on parts until this series. So I think that she's someone that they can discover. And also spread the wealth of it.
Katrina Balfe would win Best Drama Actress because she has like 7 credits before Outlander.
Yeah, maybe she will.
I think her biggest competition, looking at the list, oh my goodness. I'm like, why is Nicole Kidman there? I didn't realize I hadn't scrolled down all the way. I would say her biggest competition might be Olivia Colman, if they want to give the Night Manager something.
And Olivia Colman is beloved particularly in Europe. She's won several BAFTAs for television there. So it would. I agree that Tandy Newton is probably out front, but I would put Olivia Colman before Chrissy Metz.
Don't you think it's a little funny that like last year everybody thought Lena Headey might get nominated after her big nude, but she wasn't nude walk of shame, and now the year no one's really got their eyes on her, she finally does it. She breaks in. That makes me wonder what she did have a great season, but I don't know. I wouldn't surprise me. We've seen people win this and we're like, no, it's not going to be her. No one thought Maura Tierney was going to win last year. We're talking about this. Watch, it's going to be Mandy Moore. And we're all going to be like, oh, of course. That makes perfect sense.
Although I'm not going to refer to Mandy Moore as a potential Lady Gaga type win, because Mandy Moore is actually fantastic on This Is Us.
She is. She's very, very good on that show. It was funny because we were going over our predictions, and a lot of Riley and we were saying we thought Miley Cyrus was going to get nominated on the Lady Gaga. So we were pleasantly surprised to see it be Mandy Moore instead.
I wonder at the Emmys if Sterling K. Brown can kind of Margot Martindale his way into another win where they're like, okay, we've discovered you, and now we're very happy. We're just going to keep awarding you, for the time being. I thought that it would be another win for Ben Mendelsohn because he is somebody else that they, kind of discovered late in his career. But I think that's a great place for the industry to recognize This Is Us when the time comes in the summer.
I just hope it has a really good second half of their season. It's an interesting concept. I don't really buy Mandy Moore as a 60 or 70-year-old woman. But that's another story.
She's younger than the children.
Yeah. Wow. I want to look that way when I'm in my 70s or 60s. Anyway, but I will, it'll be interesting to see how it does at the Emmys since they haven't really had a broadcast show. So NBC probably doesn't really need to worry about anything else on the drama side other than This Is Us. Don't spread the love around. Just focus on the one that everyone's telling you to focus on.
Exactly. I think that hurt them a lot with Friday Night Lights because when they were campaigning that show, they would just send it out on their, pack of 6 DVDs. They'd send one episode. So to Emmy voters, it was just like 1 out of 30 NBC shows that they could consider. I like with the SAG Awards, though, for This Is Us, they did a really focused campaign where they, had it available screen for SAG members, but only that show. They didn't bother campaigning the rest of them. And then some networks like ABC and FX didn't campaign for the SAG Awards at all, didn't send out any screeners or make any of their content available online.
Well, to be fair to FX, how many people haven't seen The People versus O.J. Simpson at this point? I mean,
I think it might have made a difference with something like The Americans, maybe getting Kerry Russell in, but they just thought, why bother?
Maybe with The Americans, but I think with like first-time shows like Atlanta, that's always going to be something that's going to take a year. I don't even think you can really consider it a snub until year 2. if the quality stays as high as it was first season, then it's a snub. But it takes some time, and we know that. But I don't blame them for wanting to print out more DVDs of The People versus O.J. Simpson.
I think it's good. Save their money for Emmy campaigning.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of new stuff coming. So them and HBO are going to enter a death match this year, so that'll be fun to watch.
Well, something's going to have to take the place of OJ once it's awards. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Ryan Murphy and a famous Hollywood rivalry. It's a match made in awards heaven.
I haven't even seen a trailer for this, and we're already like, the expectations are so high.
No pressure.
No pressure, yeah.
Have you guys heard about the future seasons of American Crime Story, where the second season is Hurricane Katrina, and then the third season is about Versace and starring Lady Gaga, and they're block shooting it with the second season?
See, I think the third season sounds amazing, and I actually kind of like the idea of Lady Gaga as like Donatella, I'm assuming, or whatever her name is.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of makes perfect sense to me. Like, I love that. I'm interested to see what Hurricane Katrina is going to be like, but it might not be until that's one of those, like, just on paper, maybe it could be great. Maybe it could be a little bit of a slump. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, Feud on paper sounds amazing. We might just be headed for a disappointment.
I'll just say that earlier in the season, I thought that this would be the year for Ray Donovan, to build on its guest actor win, all of its acting nominations, its directing nomination at the Emmys, that they might be able to break into the drama series field this year. And though maybe it's not great news for Ray Donovan, I'm thrilled that we have all these new dramas that the industry is paying attention to. And I think not only is Ray Donovan not getting in, I think Mr. Robot's getting pushed out, and Homeland, House of Cards, and there's one more, Better Call Saul, that are kind of, get in there, but not with a lot of passion. I think maybe one of them will fall out too.
I would say if Ray Donovan is still on their radar, they had a good season. Jon Voight, Liev Schreiber, they both could come back at the Emmys. We could see Hank Azaria come back. But look out for someone like Paula Malcolmson, who plays his wife. If they're paying enough attention to that show to nominate those 3, she had a stellar season. I did all the Ray Donovan Emmy recaps, and so I got kind of hooked watching it, so I started watching season 3. So, but she had a really, really great season 3 where she had cancer, and she killed an intruder in her home. And she had a lot to do. So with 4 open slots, she could sneak in. They might not be as weak as you're thinking, Riley, because they keep getting directing nominations. So
I just mean in general, I mean, like you look over at lead actress drama for the Emmys, we've got everybody returning from last year. We have Evan Rachel Wood coming in, Claire Foy coming in, Winona Ryder coming in. I mean, there's tons of stuff going on here that I'm looking forward to a year without very much filler, I would think.
Yeah, I think someone like Taraji P. Henson might be out. I'm waiting to see Viola Davis's Oscar speech before I decide, because that might just give her enough momentum.
And there's also a tendency of once somebody has won, of them dropping out the next year, of them being left off. It does happen. So I would not say that Tatiana Maslany is a sure thing to come back. There was all this, a lot of hype about her finally being rewarded, and Emmy voters, they are a fickle group.
They got it right.
Yeah. Well, I would argue she deserved it for season 1, but we've seen this happen a lot. So, I think lead actress at the Emmys next year is going to be really fascinating to watch.
Any final thoughts, you guys?
I'm just, to me, the story of at least the SAG nominations, since those are the most recent, is, wow, Netflix. It's going to be a big, it's a great presence for Netflix to be in that many categories with multiple nominations, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'd say John Lithgow is having a really good award season. He's the type of person they love. They love him. He's already got 2 individual SAG awards, and I think Third Rock from the Sun won a couple ensemble. So he's having a really great season, and I don't see anything really stopping that, especially on that performance. And his speech at the Critics' Choice was perfect, saying, "I'm the only American, and I'm playing Winston Churchill, and I had all the respect of these British actors." Yeah. I think he's the one to watch this season, because he could go lead and probably win.